Hi folks, John Dunn, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Melior Via. I'm up here at Immortals, Inc., talking RPGs with Mikey.
What is up, John? Looking good.
Thanks, Mikey. I thought we'd talk a little bit about the Fate Space Toolkit tonight. So if you remember a few episodes back, we talked about the Fate core system.
Yeah, I certainly remember. Hope you guys do too.
All right, so that's a generic role-playing game system that's designed to be easily customizable for pretty much any kind of setting that you want to do, where you can set up a campaign in a broad range of different genres, different settings. If there's something you want to adapt, it's really well suited to that, and it's a very flexible system, so you can do a lot of different things with it, and it's really easy to just kind of get your hands in there and do different things. So Evil Hat came out with a few different toolkits. One I was going to talk about today is the Fate Space Toolkit. And what this is focused on is giving you the different bits and baubles you need, the different knobs that you can adjust and twist and tweak when you want to customize the game rules to be better suited to a science fiction storyline. Specifically a science fiction storyline in space. The book opens up talking about that focus and talks about how there's a lot of different kinds of sci-fi. You know, you've got adventures where the main characters are traveling in space very deliberately and they're flying starfighters around. I mean, we can get into Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica, where we've got, you know, these starfighters that are basically fighter planes in space. You can get into cruise ships in space if you want to do a number of different movies. Or
Wait, cruise ship in space?
Well, sure.
That'd be pretty awesome.
I can't think of the name of the movie. It's
any Marvel movie.
Well, yeah, but there's... this is making for some great videos. I try to remember the name of the film, but The Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element? That was the movie?
That's the movie.
Found it. Okay, well, we found it.
All right, so The Fifth Element
Element
was a film that was set on a cruise ship in space. So yeah, they're out there. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. Space Above and Beyond was a sci-fi show in the 90s that I really loved about a group of Marines that were pilots and were also going out and fighting aliens on planet surfaces. There's, you know, the classic movie Aliens, where you've got Marines traveling around, but they're also taking spaceships and they're traveling very differently. Doctor Who's an archetypical space and time traveler. Star Trek goes without saying. And there's 10 million anime series that you could get into. So there's plenty of different, very different really, takes on doing science fiction in space. And that's just touching on TV shows and movies, right? There's tons of stuff in novels that are also very different. This toolkit is designed to try and give you the tools you need to build a campaign setting in a broad range of different sci-fi options. It's not going to cover absolutely everything, but it is going to do things like address what level of realism you want. So do you want to just have technobabble that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense? Do you just want to be using hand-wavium? It's going to cover that. Do you want to try and make things as realistic as you can and try and get down into the nitty-gritties of string theory and hyperspace? It's going to give you options for that too. Now, Fate inherently isn't the most realistic of settings, or of rule sets. It tends to work better if you're trying to make things a little more dramatic focused. But given that constraint, you can still do a whole lot with it.
Obviously, you remember Kaiju Incorporated, right?
Absolutely.
And you said that the Fate core system is super relevant within that. How does that work, just generally speaking?
So pretty much anytime somebody publishes a campaign setting for Fate, they're going to make some tweaks to the rules, and they're going to introduce some new rules that are specific to their campaign setting, and they're going to make some changes to how character creation works. So like with Kaiju Incorporated, they changed the list of skills so that you didn't have skills that weren't really relevant to working with kaiju. So you didn't have like a horseback riding skill, and you probably didn't have a, pilot a submarine skill.
Instead, you had a mopping skill.
Well, very possibly, or construction skills, or a, trick kaiju skills, or a science kaiju to understand what kind of chemistry was going on within the kaiju. I don't remember the skill list off the top of my head, but there were those kinds of things in it. This toolkit works similarly. It's going to give you a list of different skills to pick and choose from, that are going to be more relevant specifically to a Fate campaign that's set in space or that involves space travel.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense now.
And it introduces some other extras. So different systems for tech, different types of abilities that alien species might have, and psychic powers, all as things that are particularly relevant to a science fiction-y style campaign, and that you may or may not want to include when you're building your own campaign setting. The other thing that it's got is spacecraft. So it talks about different styles of spacecraft. Remember earlier I said there were starfighters, there were space yachts, there were space capital ships. All of those are covered in here. It talks about how to build them and how to use them. So it gives you some rules for combat, a couple of different angles you can take on how you might want to do that.
I want a space yacht.
We all want space yachts. There are different discussions of aliens, their planets, their ecosystems, their cultures, and most relevant, their game statistics. And then there's 5 different sample settings in here. Any of them would work for running a cool campaign. Because they're all part of the toolkit, you can also see how the pieces and parts were put together to build those, so that they're a good example for ways you might want to build your own campaign setting using this book in conjunction with the Fate core rules. This is a hardcover. It is, I believe, $20, which is a pretty solid bang for your buck. It's 167 pages, and the interior is all black and white. It's here on the shelf at Immortals Inc. Stop in and get a copy or take a look at it. And until then, good gaming.
ImmortalsInc.com. Good gaming. See you guys later.